Hey, everybody, it is time for the next episode of Community Driven, where we are bringing you people within our community who are doing great things. I'm Kevin Strosnider, host of this Community Driven podcast, and we are live from our grand studios at 5200 Oak Lawn Boulevard in North Prince George. Great to see you, and I have with me today Mr. John Calhoun from Destination Church. John, thank you so much for being here with us today. John is an associate pastor at Destination Church, and if you're in our area, I'm sure you've heard of Destination, and they're doing a lot of big things within the community. So thank you for being here, and look forward to the discussion today. So start off, John, just introduce yourself to our community and tell them kind of your background and where you're from and how you've gotten to be with Destination.
Goodness gracious. So my name is John. I grew up in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, okay.
I fell in love with a girl here from the Chester, Hopewell area. And so we got married. We'll be celebrating about 25 years.
Wow.
Here this upcoming summer.
Okay.
So, but you fall in love with someone down here. Eventually, you're gonna come here.
Yeah.
And so came down here.
Where'd y'all meet?
We met because her dad was a church planner in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, okay.
So
wow.
we met when I was 6 and she was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
It was not an
crazy.
arranged marriage. But when I was in college, she and I were writing back and forth. And so eventually, I graduated from college, and I think it was 2001. And I came down here to Virginia to meet her in person because I hadn't seen her since we were that young.
Wow.
And so I came down here, and I was like, I just knew. I was like, you know.
Yes.
And so a week later, I asked her dad if I could marry her.
Oh, wow.
And then 2 weeks later, I actually asked her to marry me.
Oh, wow.
And then we got married a year later, and we moved a little bit here and there. We were in Minnesota, but we eventually moved down here. We've been here for about 16, 17 years.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's great. And so since you've been back here, tell us what you've been doing.
Yeah, so moved back here. Actually, I went to school for ministry to make a difference in people's lives. And my first few years were a little bit bumpier than I was hoping. And so I basically had a conversation with God, and I said, God, I love you, and I love the church, but ministry's too hard, and I don't want to have anything to do with it.
It is very difficult.
Yeah, and so actually we moved down here. I moved down to Virginia to be a part of my father-in-law's business, Chester Body Shop in Chester. Worked there for many years. And then about 14 years ago, got a chance to be a volunteer and help plant a church in the Colonial Heights area. And then all sorts of things happened from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you have some automotive background, which is cool. How long were you with Chester Body Shop?
I mean, I was serving there for probably about 7, 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And so I was an estimator and I was a manager, and so a lot of fun. Working with insurance companies.
Oh, yeah. Insurance companies are very fun to work with.
Oh, they're always. I like complex relationships, though.
Well, then you love the insurance business.
So it's hard, right? Because you're working with the customer.
Yeah.
You're working with the insurance company, and then you're working with your guys.
So which one's tougher, insurance business or the ministry?
That's hard to say.
It's a tough one.
I like them all, so it's fun.
Yeah,
so.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah, I understand both sides of that.
It's wild, man.
Yes,
it's wild. So.
It is. And so you worked there about 7, 8 years, and then about what year did you start into church planning?
I'm trying to think about it. Again, it was about 14 years ago that I met Pastor Brian.
Okay.
And he was talking about this church that would be different. It would be a church that it wasn't about dressing up. And then, something happens when people dress up for church.
Gotcha.
It's almost like they put a mask on their face. And when they put a mask on their face, they come to church to pretend to have it all together.
I gotcha.
And so he had this heart that we would be a church that would be more like a hospital. That people would come and there was no pretense. They're coming and they're just gonna say, hey, I need help. And so that was a heartbeat. And so there was no better place to do that to start than in the Regal Theater right over there, the mall over there.
Yeah.
And so we started at the mall over in Colonial Heights.
Oh, mall in Colonial Heights. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then we kind of moved around a little bit, but we ended up landing
In the
right
crossings,
here.
okay.
I mean, literally
It's
it's right over here where we're at the crossings,
parking lot,
next to Big Lots. And so, I mean, we've never looked back. You know,
Okay. I didn't know you were at the actual mall. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we started there, but we moved. It was probably about 3-4 years, and so we've been here at this particular location for about 8 years now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so fun because you get to run into people all across the board.
Yes.
We wanted to reach young families, you know, families that were looking for direction, families that knew they didn't have it together. And so as a result, we saw not only them start coming, you know, these young families, right? These young professionals with, you know, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. But what we didn't count on their parents saying, well, if you reached our kids, we want to come. And so, like, we're this multi-generational, multi-ethnic, really cool, diverse church that I don't know if we planned on it, but it's been really cool to see how God's grown us.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And y'all are constantly active within our community, doing tons of things. So tell us some of the programs and things that y'all do within the community to help build the community.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously Sunday mornings, and the whole purpose of Sunday mornings is to reach, really to reach the lost, but also to go after people who are obviously believers and they believe in Christ. And then we have our whole, what we would call like our outreach, our community arm. And so we do a lot of things. One, we feed the homeless every Saturday.
Okay.
Somewhere between 150 to 200.
Are you doing it right here?
We don't do it here. We wanted to do it at multiple locations, and so we're over at Social Services in Hopewell. We're connecting and we're networking with multiple churches. We were actually right over. It's hard to even We were over here at a hotel, a couple of the hotels as well.
Yeah.
But what we found was connecting with local churches was a great way to go, hey, where are the homeless? Where are they sleeping? Where are they connecting? And so, like, actually, it's cool because we're part of this connection of, I guess, informal churches. Pastor Boggs over at First Baptist.
Okay, yeah.
Pastor Michael Moore at Beacon. And so, like, one of the cool things we did was, like, hey, where are the homeless right now? And so we go to them. We don't make them come to us.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's just been a really cool thing, just seeing what the gospel does in all those areas.
Yeah.
We also have a couple of nursing homes. So we've got Wonder City right over here, and then Brighter Living. We'll go out there. We'll do so fun. We do bingo. This is what we've learned about people in nursing homes. A lot of times, families will place them there because of whatever their needs being greater than what the family's able to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of times, people get forgotten about.
Yeah.
And so we'll do all sorts of fun stuff. We'll do bingo with them. We'll do prizes. We'll do meals over there. But one of the things we're actually looking at is a little bit, we didn't get to do it this Christmas, but next Christmas, I think we're going to do kind of like a, where we do like makeovers.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but like makeovers and photos for them.
That's cool.
What was that
That's
old,
neat.
remember that old thing was called Glamour Shots?
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're gonna try to do something churchy, like
bringing
something
back
like
Glamour
that.
Shots.
We're gonna bring back Glamour Shots, but we're gonna do something like that because that generation really loved looking their best.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so doing that and being able to send photos to families, that's fun too.
So my grandmother was in Dunlop house for years in the memory care. She had dementia. And one of the neatest things about that going in there, everyone was excited to see you when you came to visit. But it was so cool that you could just do the same thing over and over again every time you came because they didn't remember that you had come in before. So my grandmother, you could go. It was like the first time you come. It was great. They were so excited to see you, and you could tell them the same stories, and it was great. And we can laugh about that because it was my grandmother. I mean, I knew exactly what was going on, and we'd have the same conversations. But it was genuine excitement to see you. So that's cool that you're going, and it's just as much fulfilling for the person who's going as it is for the person who's there.
Absolutely.
So
you mentioned, but like the two other groups that we really focus on, we focus in a lot on our local schools.
Okay.
So whether it's Prince George, whether it's Hopewell, or now we're branching kind of over into Colonial Heights and Petersburg, we realized, like, especially during COVID, that being a teacher is an incredibly complex thing. A lot of times parents will expect teachers to parent their kids, teach them values.
100%.
And so we wanted to get behind teachers and really help them pull off events and help schools pull off events that showed care to kids. Like Friday, we're going to be in the local schools doing some blessing of teachers, and we're also going to do like an egg hunt with a couple of elementary schools. That'll be fun.
That's cool. That's cool.
And then The other really what I think is like oftentimes a thankless is our first responders.
Absolutely.
So we like to be able to bless our police officers. We like to be able to bless our fire department and EMS workers. We're doing a lot of that right now because this week is kind of for us where we happen to be recording right now is we're in this thing called Do for One.
Okay.
And our pastor has this statement where it's basically do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. And so like a lot of times
that's great. Yeah.
A lot of times people think, oh, I want to do that for somebody, but if I do that, I got to do it for everybody. And so like people never, like they want to be generous, but then they never actually do it because it's so overwhelming. And so we try to keep it really simple. Like, hey, well then what would you do? And so like today actually we have a group of people in Sutherland giving out Shell gas cards at a local gas station.
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
Just because people don't think of church as a generous place. They're always thinking church is like, oh, it's about, I want your money or I want this or all that. Like, why not be a church that gives?
That gives. Yeah.
So like, that's kind of what we're doing right now.
It's interesting what you say there about the do for one, what you would do for, what you wish you could do for everyone. It's that concept is so many people feel like, oh, I've got to do something that is, this grandiose thing that it has an effect on a bunch of people. Really, it's really about reaching one person. Yeah. Because that reaching that one person, you never know what that impact has for generations to come. So really, that's really what the call is for. Is just to reach the one, and then see what happens from there. And some people have a call to reach, masses, but most people's call is to just reach the one person in front of you. So that's very, I like that. I like that.
Well, so I think a lot of times when people go to a church and they go to this, they see the crowd. Or in any case, you go anywhere and you see the crowd. You go to a sports game, you see the crowd. And I think this is the thing that I love about Jesus is that, if you look at his example, yes, you always saw him teaching to a crowd. But then you would see him pause, stop what he's doing, and he would focus in. And he would dial in on the one. Yeah. And like, actually there was this, we were just talking about this story about Jesus, he's talking to a crowd, and Peter, one of his first recruits, he's literally not there for Jesus. He's there cleaning his nets. He worked all night. Yeah. He's a blue-collar worker, right? And he's cleaning his nets. It was a bad night. And Jesus sees him, and he goes, and he just stops. Everything does. Looks at Peter, and he says, hey, can we go get in your boat? Yeah. And like sometimes we think, oh, maybe Jesus is doing the new teaching style. No, he just wanted to get Peter involved. Yeah. And it was in that moment that he realized, like, that's where Peter's heart beat for Jesus started. Yeah. Because it was kind of saying goodbye to the crowd for a second and saying, I'm going to focus right here on you. Yeah. I just love that. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about some other programs that you have going on in the community. You've hit on some dealing with the homeless, the teachers, the first responders. But I know there's some other things that y'all do within the community. What are some other big things y'all have?
It's hard because I got to remember them all.
Yeah. So, I'll put you on the spot.
Well, so anybody who's in the community, anybody tuning in, they're probably used to our trunk or treats.
Yes. Yep. Y'all been very big into
our
that. Yep.
Big events. The first thing that ever put us on the map was this massive egg hunt that we did over at Swader's Sports Park.
Okay.
We actually brought in a helicopter and we dropped eggs onto their driving range.
Oh, wow.
And we had like somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 people show up for that.
Oh, wow.
The crowd, right?
Yeah.
But again, these days, we're trying really hard. Something our pastor says is that we want to be large enough to meet the needs of our community, but we want to be small enough to be family with everybody. Yeah. Because I think at the end of the day, that's what we all want to know. We all want to know who are those 2 or 3 people, who's my small group, who's my tribe that I know if I go through crisis or they go through crisis, we're going to be here for each other. Yeah. And so, there's a couple things we do with our group, with our small groups. We do some marriage support groups for people in our community. Right now, getting ready to launch an addiction support group this spring. because addiction in our area, in our community, is a huge, huge issue.
We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it.
But yes.
We try to hide that.
Yes.
But that's a big deal.
Yeah.
We are doing some support groups for people with financial struggles. So like we do something called Financial Peace University, which is not just for people in the house, for people in the community. It's a huge deal. And we actually do this thing called grief share. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not,
but when people experience loss in their family, a lot of times they just trudge on.
Yeah.
And they just go with the loss. And so like what we've realized is that when you've lost someone in your life, that can be really crippling to your entire family.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
Helping people work, grief share, there's no sort of therapy that takes away the pain.
Yeah.
But if you can help them find greater purpose in that, that's huge.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's big. We do a lot of reach out to the military. So
That's
this is a really
awesome.
interesting thought. Most churches, and we love all churches, but most churches don't, they struggle with the military because they know that a family's gonna come in the area. They're gonna come for 6 months, 2 years, and they're gone.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
But for us, one of the things we love is that we love taking that, let's say we have someone for 6 months or 2 years, we love investing in them, we love getting them connected, and we love we love equipping them.
Yes.
Because we know that wherever they go, we have a family, oh my gosh, we have this family that is actually getting shipped off this summer to Alaska. Well, you know what? Believe it or not, people in Alaska need Jesus too.
Yeah, that's right. It's crazy.
I know, it's hard to imagine. In fact, their rates of depression and seasonal affective disorder.
It's crazy.
But what would it look like for a couple like that to get the heartbeat of the house where when they go there, they can actually start a small group there? They can tune into our online services, have church, or get connected in a local church there, and then who knows what will happen.
So John, to take that from what we do here every day at the dealership.
Yeah.
I like to think about that in that realm too, because in businesses, a lot of people will look at, maybe a position within the business that often is more, people come and go within that position, and they don't invest in that person as much because they're like, oh, that person's probably going to come and go. But the reality is, you never know what your investment in that person who is a porter or who answers phones or who's a janitor, what that investment might mean for that person. They might not ever work for you again. They might work for you for 6 months and then go find another job somewhere else. But it's not about what are they doing for you.
Right.
It's about what are you doing for them in the long run.
Right.
And that's the where I think we need to, not just in business and not just in churches, but in life, the person who's in front of me today, what impact could I have in the long run? And it might be just a small little watering of a seed, but it's important because it's not about, how much money I make or how many cars or how many people come to my church or how many homeless people I've fed, or it's not about that. It's about that impact that we have on a daily basis.
That's so huge. And you know this, whenever somebody, and you're in the car business, right? So usually someone's going to come to you because, again, maybe they did get a great raise and a great bonus, and they're like, yeah, we're looking to upgrade. But a lot of people come to buying a car because their car is done.
100%.
They gave their car away, or it was an accident or something like that. And so, you know this, when you're there for somebody and it's not just about the transaction, it's about the relationship, it's amazing how the second and third order effects are, because people will bring their problems to you, and they'll bring their service to you, they'll bring their family to you if you're proven trustworthy with that one transaction. And that's no different than in church. Like when someone goes through a crisis, they're asking the question is, who cares about me?
Yes.
And if they don't know, who knows what's going to happen? But if they do know, that changes the nature of how you can minister and how you can impact an entire community.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. It's I remember learning about a couple within our church that the family, the man, the husband, he's probably late 50s. His mom when he was a little boy, he was sick, and his mom had to come to this area, and one of the leaders of the church brought them in and let them stay with them while they were taking this boy to the hospital, and they ended up. They're from West Virginia. The dad had to stay in West Virginia and work. The mom brought the boy to this area to get work, to get some medical attention. This leader of this church brings them in and says, "Live with our family as long as you need." And a family that didn't go to church now goes to church because one person said, "Yes, you can stay with me," and affects every person from that family line from that point forward, and people who were not even part of that transaction. That people were, "Oh my goodness, look at what this person did," and that effect, you can't put a price on that. It's not about it's not about how big of an effect as far as numbers. It's how big of an effect to that one person was that. And that's, to see people in our community who are doing those things and have that mindset is huge. So I appreciate that, what y'all are doing.
That's so cool, because like when you think about that, like he couldn't have done, he couldn't have done that for everybody. He couldn't invite everybody, but he invited them in.
Yes.
And that's a hospitality that you just don't see in this world anymore.
Yes.
I mean,
it has left, certainly.
It's so difficult to actually help people that way. And it's man, that he got some skin in the game.
Yeah.
That's great.
And to see that it is that there are people who are still doing that today. Right. Like with y'all and Destination and other churches and other organizations that are in this area looking at how can I have this massive effect on one person instead of just having a massive effect on a huge amount of people. If I affect one person, it has a massive effect, and it can have a lifelong difference. It's huge. So I appreciate that y'all are looking in that way and thinking in that way. That's great.
You're trying to. I think a lot of times, and I think the other thing we're learning is that so oftentimes you're about your thing, and so Destination's got their own things going. What I'm learning is that if you can make your stuff about other people's things, and so for example, I have this really good friend. His name's Jeff Kinchitsky, and he actually. He's got a group of, he's got basically a motorcycle club, and he was telling me recently about this organization that they're doing. It's called Help, and it's basically meant to provide support for police officers and military personnel that are struggling through mental illness. And unfortunately, there's a great amount of them that actually end up taking their lives through suicide or something like that. And so one of the things I found out was he's got this this fundraiser that they're doing in partnership with Harley Davidson, and he was just talking about what he was doing, and I just asked him, I said, well, could Destination get involved in that? And he goes, and it blew my mind, but he's like, yeah, actually, he's like, you would actually do that? I was like, well, yeah. I was like, obviously we care about reaching the lost. At the end of the day, we want people to find their eternal home with Jesus. Yeah. But if we can get involved with community programs like that, it's huge, because it reminds people that it's not just all about us. It's about us partnering with other people throughout the community. And for us, we've just found that builds relationships better than saying, oh, look at what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing over here. So,
100%.
But yeah, we're learning.
That's cool. Yeah. That's great. So tell us about y'all have some things coming up. I know you have some big things coming up. Y'all are making some big shifts and moves. I don't know if that's allowed to be.
We are, I think
public.
So we're one of those churches that we definitely want to be in multiple communities. In the last 8 years, we're thankful that Hopewell and Prince George have loved us and accepted us the way that they have. And of course, we've got a preschool there at our primary location that we love. But yes, we did this last summer. We did purchase. I guess this summer we just got the keys to it. But basically, we purchased the Macy's building over at the mall, at Southpark Mall. So we're so excited about that. We're in what I would call design phase right now, which is not fun. I mean, you see all the beautiful pictures and you think, oh, that's design. But it actually involves a lot more, like the electrical design, the plumbing, all that stuff, which is all in the weeds. But yeah, our hope is to begin construction on it. I mean, it's going to be a little bit, but we'll probably begin construction in January of 2026. It'll take about a year, but we really do. We want to be in that community. We want to be in this community too. So our hope is, yes, we're going to build onto that, but we're going to hopefully be able to stay. Again, we can't tell for sure what's going to happen. We'd like to be in multiple locations if we can.
Okay.
So
very interesting.
So we're doing that. This last summer, I don't know if we have any coffee lovers there, but we did launch our first coffee shop to the public.
Okay, where's that at?
That's at the mall as well.
At the mall, okay.
So if you walk into Dick's Sporting Goods and you walk into the mall from there, we're the first place right on the left.
Gotcha.
And so we're just trying to build influence wherever we can. And believe it or not, again, most people think of church on Sundays. What we're trying to do, what our pastor's heartbeat is that we want to be engaged in the local community. And so to do that, we want to be, I guess what you'd call we want to be applicable. We want to be connected throughout the week. And so inviting business people to the cafe. We've got a great conference room for people if they want to do things. It's kind of cool because the Colonial Heights Chick-fil-A, the manager there, the GM, her name is Stacy Anderson. She does some of her team meetings there, which is so cool. And so just building relationships, because that's how the kingdom of God works, is through relationships. And so we've got that cafe over there that's brand new. And so we want to be able to do what we call kingdom businesses that engage the community all throughout the week. So,
wow. That's neat.
Yeah, it's wild. It is wild.
That is. That's pretty cool. I didn't know about that. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's really, great coffee. Again, we started with coffee. In a couple weeks, I think it is, we're going to probably be launching ice cream, because, again, the whole point is it's legacy coffee and cream. Okay. Most people think, cream I put in coffee. But we actually started with, no, we want coffee and ice cream. And so we're actually, we're partnering with Richland Dairy Farm. And so Richland Dairy Farm, they'll be supplying our product, and then we'll be serving soft serve ice cream, vanilla and chocolate, with all the mix-ins and stuff too. So it's a lot of fun.
That's neat. That's neat, man. So y'all got a lot going on. Any other things that you can share right now? I know sometimes when you're working on things, it's you don't want to share too early. I understand that, but
it's hard to know. I know that right now, again, we basically are one church in 3 locations. So we've got our Crossings campus, and then right next to it is our theater, and then that's where our Espanol campus, or our Spanish campus meet. And so that campus is in full Spanish, which is so fun. And then of course we've got, again, our Southpark campus, which is meeting currently in the Regal right over there as well. As far as I can think of right now, that's all I can think of.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Well, thank you for what you do in the community. It matters that people are in our community, working to build our community, to build up our community, to do it with a heart that is for the right purposes. I know maybe not everybody that is that would listen to this would be necessarily have the same viewpoints of a heart for God, but at least a heart for the betterment of the community and the people around us. So if nothing else, to know that y'all are doing it for that reason is great, is an amazing thing. So thank you for that, and for all the hard work. I know from personal experience, ministry is tough.
It is.
It is very, very tough.
But it is so fun.
Oh, it is. It is.
And it keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
I'm sure, so.
Yes, 100%. 100%. So thank you so much for being here. I got a couple questions real quick for you. So first one, I do a lot of personal development. I'm constantly trying to grow and improve myself as a person, as a Christian, as a husband, as a father, as a business leader, as a friend, all these things. And so I constantly am reading books and trying to improve myself. If you had a book that you said this was the thing that influenced me the most, or this has had the biggest impact? Obviously, it's easy for us as Christians to say the Bible, but beyond that, what would you say?
That's a tough question.
It is a tough question, but it's a good one.
I'll give you two.
Okay.
So I was in college, and I ran into, and now hear me out. Like, I grew up in a Baptist context.
Okay.
And so, I think one of the reasons why a lot of people really struggle with church anyway is like, which one's the right church? So many denominations. I think it's important that we keep things the main thing. But I ran in this book. It's called In the Name of Jesus.
Okay.
And it was by a Catholic priest, Catholic minister named Henry Nouwen. And I think the reason why it made the greatest impact on me was that for me, having grown up Baptist, again, you don't see a lot of Baptists and Catholics intermingle.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't see a lot of people, usually people ask, well, what brand of Christianity are you anyway? And I think for me, I read the book, and again, the book was all about Jesus. It was all about Jesus. And it was about his heart, like his heart for people, that people would understand that God's heart is love. Like, that's what it is. It's love.
Yeah.
And I think for me, when I read that the first time, it blew me away on the level of like some of the temptations in leadership, because as leaders we're tempted to do a lot of different things, and we oftentimes fail because we don't understand true authentic leadership in the heart of God and just great leadership in general. And so, like, for example, like we talk about, like, leadership's about like loving the one. It's about not exploiting people, but loving people and empowering people. And so, like, that book it's a short book. I mean, it's one of those books that, like, if you were to sit down in a coffee shop, you could probably get through in 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
But it's also one of those books that you could kind of go in and just dive deep.
Yeah.
So I love that book.
Okay.
That's a book I read. In the Name of Jesus.
In the Name of Jesus.
Henry Nouwen, Catholic priest. Beautiful book. Just helped me understand, like, wait a minute. There are good people everywhere.
Yes.
And you just got to, like, get to know them and stop making assumptions about them. And so that was huge. The other one is one I just read recently. It's a book called Leaders Eat Last.
Oh, yeah.
It's by Simon Sinek.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
have you read that book?
I have not read that book, but I've read Infinite Game by Simon Sinek.
So this book has sat on my shelf. I bought it because somebody recommended it about 2 years ago. Yeah. And it just sat on my shelf. And then I was like, finally it got to be like February, and I was like, I keep looking at this book, and I was like, and I think the reason why I loved it is it really challenges leaders. Yeah. The whole idea of Leaders Eat Last is that people trust people who have their best interests in mind. Absolutely. And as soon as I don't know if your best interests are for me or if they're for your own glory, so to speak, I don't know if I want to I don't know if I want to follow you. Yes. And 100%. So one of the things that it does, it paints this picture that in the world we live in now, there's a great cynicism to leadership. There's a great cynicism to, do you have my best interests in mind? Yep. It's one of the reasons why, like, anybody who, like, in the 70s or 80s went to work, they went to work hoping that they would be able to work at the same place. Yeah. For their entire lifetime. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Just like their parents did. Because my grandfather, he worked at Lockheed Martin after he retired from the Navy, and that's where he worked until he was retired. And you didn't change. My dad did not experience that. Yeah. Right? He went working for a company thinking this is gonna, their loyalty would be to me and I'd be loyal to them, and that just didn't happen. Yes. There's no loyalty in our world anymore. That shift has been huge. And so, like, for me, it was just really, honestly, it painted great context, because most of the people that I will lead a few staff people, but most of the people I lead, they're there as volunteers. Yeah. And like, to know what they're dealing with on a daily basis, to understand, oh wow, that's the third job in 6 years. What's happening? It's not just about them like, most people are just trying to provide for their family. Yeah. Most people are just trying to move forward in the next step. And I think when you realize, like, that book really helped me understand, wow, so many of our leaders in our world have kind of broken the contract or the covenant, the holy covenant that that people make with them, saying, "Hey, I'm following you,
Yes.
but can I trust you?"
Yes.
And that's at the end of the day, that's what most people are asking. Can I trust you?
That's huge. And you look at, who we claim to follow, and definitely he was a man of, I feed before I eat.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And so, one of the things we say, Paul said it, but it's one thing that kind of like that authentic challenge is, can you say, follow me as I follow Christ?
Yeah.
Now, we're going to all mess up because we're all imperfect people,
Oh,
but I want to be a leader that says to people who are looking at me, hey, follow me as I follow Christ. Yeah. My 12-year-old son, I want to be able to tell him, follow me as I follow Christ. Imperfectly, but yeah, that was probably the second book that's really a huge impact on me. Yeah.
All right. Second question for you. Let's say you had this whole area, Hopewell, Prince George, Colonial Heights, Petersburg, Dinwiddie, Surrey, Sussex, Charles City, Chesterfield, Matoaka. This whole area is looking at John Calhoun, and you have 2 minutes to impart some wisdom on them. What would you share?
Oh my gosh. I think the first thing I would say is, in regards to anything, a lot of people want to lead others, and a lot of people want to encourage others, and a lot of people want to make a difference in the world, okay? But it all starts with yourself. And so, I think if I were to talk to anybody, the first thing I would ask is, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Anytime, I don't know if you're familiar with this illustration, but anytime you're on an airplane, and the flight attendants, they go through the whole, you got to put your seatbelt on, this and that, and they talk about this. Anytime the cabin loses pressure, or anytime we have a drop, oxygen masks are going to fall down.
Yes.
And what I've learned with people is that people generally do have a heart to care for other people, but they don't understand how important it is their own personal health is. And so I think a lot of times people are so quick to go, oh, let me put that oxygen mask on you. Let me put it on you. They're so fixated on trying to say, how do I help you? That they don't realize, number one, they gotta take care of themselves.
Yeah.
They gotta put it on me first. The great commandment. The great commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. What most people don't realize is that there's a third commandment in there, and that is to love yourself. And I know that sounds a little weird to say that, but I think if we truly loved God and we truly loved others, we'd realize if I'm the intersecting point between God and other people, then I need to take really good care of myself.
Yeah.
And so I think in the community we live in right now, there's so many people who are just trying to survive, and if they would just take a time out and they would just go, okay, why did God put me here? And then once they did that, said, okay, now what is my next step?
Yeah.
They wouldn't become so overwhelmed with the daily chaos of their lives, and they would be able to say, hey, I can actually live on mission and live with a purpose.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
No, that's great. It's interesting as you're sitting here saying this. Just yesterday, I had this conversation with a young man who works for me, and I was telling him how whenever I tell people, some of our goals, if they want to come work for us, we go through some of our principles that we try to live by. And one of those principles is excellence. And the excellence principle, I tell everybody who wants to come work for us, the order of excellence that it needs to be for yourself, then for your family, then for the team, and then the customer will get it last. They will get it but it has to start with yourself. And that's not a selfish thing.
Right.
In fact, and I said to this young man, who's a young man, married, with a kid, first house, all this stuff, I said, let me tell you right now, if you don't take care of you, you will not be able to take care of your wife, and you will not be able to take care of your kid. And you're being more selfish by not taking care of yourself, and you're going to hurt them.
That's so good.
And he was like, oh, I never thought about it that way. I said, yes, you have to spiritually, physically, mentally take care of yourself so you can provide for them like you have told them you would.
Wow.
And so it's exactly what you're saying.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to love yourself.
Yeah.
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 That's
I mean,
great.
some
Great
people
advice.
some people think that's selfish, but I think it's so important and most people just
Yes.
ignore that.
Yes.
So.
It's when you really break it down, it's more selfish to not do that.
Right.
Yeah. So great. All right, last thing.
Okay.
Last question. And this is quite possibly the most important question of them all.
Okay.
What is your dream vehicle?
My dream vehicle?
Yeah.
That is such a hard thing.
It doesn't have to be a Chevrolet, don't worry. All
Doesn't have to be a
No,
Chevrolet?
it doesn't have to be a Chevrolet.
Wow. My first car was a Saturn, actually.
Ah, okay.
But anyways, that's another story for another day. Man, honestly, right now, I think I would just love a decked out Toyota 4Runner.
Okay.
That's
okay.
me right now.
Toyota
So,
4Runner.
Toyota 4Runner.
Yeah,
But
they're nice vehicles.
my daughter wants a one of the cool little Blazers now.
Okay. Yeah,
She wants a pink one, but that's her story.
A pink Blazer.
She's 9, so she needs a little bit of time, but that's what she wants. So.
That's funny. That's cool. Well, John, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you very much. We do have just a little something for you.
Thank
Just
you
a
so
little.
much.
That's from Anna. Always puts those together. Just a little thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you for all that you do within our community and the church there, what they do within our community. Thank you for being here with us, and please support what they're doing. It's great to see that we have people who have a heart to uplift our community, to pour back into the people, and the people who are often either they struggle, like the homeless, or they're just underappreciated,
Right.
like our first responders, our teachers, all those things. So it's great to see that y'all are pouring back into those people. And thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time on Community Driven.